What's up, Cam?
Going on, man?
How you doing, brother?
Good. I'm gonna have to step away for about like 10, 15 minutes here shortly, but I'll be
Oh,
listening.
all good. All good. Glad you're here. What's up, Devin?
What's up, boss?
How you doing, dude?
Doing good. Get
Good.
around and start making calls and getting stuff under contract.
There we go, man. That's what I like to hear. Jared, how you doing, my man?
Hey, what's up, G Money? I'm blessed, man. How you doing?
Hey, the same on this side, brother, man. I can't complain. The sun is shining, and
I
we're
hear
here.
you.
So
Yeah, you in North Carolina, ain't you?
I am still in North Carolina. I'm trying to get back down to Florida, but power is still off at my apartment, so can't
Man,
get down there if I can't work. So it's kind of
man,
weird.
I hear you.
But let's see, we got some note takers jumping in here for those that couldn't make it at this time. Give us a
Hey,
minute.
Garrett, quick question for you.
What up?
I had a call scheduled to Garen this morning. I'm not sure if he was able to get a hold of them. Do you know if he was does he kind of let us know?
Yeah, so that group chat that I added you in, what was the name of the lead? Also, can we get an update?
I think it was Justin.
Can we get an update on Cam's lead? Let me get a chance. Justin, do you know the last name?
It wasn't an easy one to remember. It was like NM Cozy or something. Cozy.
Started with an N.
Yeah.
Okay, and something. I think I've added you to this chat already, right?
Which one is that? I'm in a couple now.
On Facebook. This one is
Yep. The DMA Garen lead.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I he has a team of VAs that help manage his Facebook and stuff, which is part of the reason why sometimes it feels like it's hard to reach him.
Sure.
Um, but I can generally push things forward a little bit faster as well because of our relationship. So anytime you do send a lead across, and for those other folks out here, as if you need to set these across for like, they'll pretty much do direct to seller stuff. You guys, I'm very confident we'll be able to get this done direct to agent yourselves. So we don't really need to set appointments for direct to agent stuff, but if you need to with Garrett, I'll get you guys the link. It is built into the CRM. You should have seen that in the Loom video that I sent over as well. Um, but yeah, it's just a little bit slower feedback loop than I would like as well. So I'm trying to sharpen that process up and really get them dialed in so that we can get faster responses. But I know they're out there closing deals. That's the thing for sure. So just gotta be a little patient with them.
Sure.
Cool.
I
What
think I
up?
got another one scheduled for him tonight too. So hopefully
There we
that goes
go.
well.
Yeah, it's good to hear. How you doing, brother, man?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. You're looking cleaned up, clean shaven.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I've been excited for this, man. I mean, first off, I want to shout out all the students and team leaders and everybody that's already been, getting active. I'm excited. We got people already that just off the little bit of stuff that I've shared, go take some action. They reach out to agents. Joffrey, where he's reaching out to agents via like Zillow. He was finding their contact info, reaching out, and he has one agent that has a bunch of properties he's going to send for us to look over and see what we might potentially be able to make offers on. I think it's in a Dallas market, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right, Bain? He's on your team, right?
Yeah, he's I mean, we're actually going to underwrite them today. So I haven't underwritten 46 properties in one time before, so it's gonna be a challenge, but we'll
I'll
go.
help. We'll get some. I'll jump in there and help as we need to. And also, Danny can probably help. Soon we'll have that what you call it calculator thing he's working on that will speed that process up.
Yep. We'll be working on that over the weekend.
We'll get that done too. So cool. Well, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it since we got most of the folks that are here and we want to take advantage of all the time we got with Roman. So, brother, first off, I know we did the podcast a couple weeks ago. Not all of the folks here were able to jump on that podcast. So, why don't you just quickly give them a rundown about yourself and like what you've done so far?
I love it. So, my name is Roman Katz. I am 20 years old and I own 30 doors now.
Fuck yeah.
We are, I have a company, a team, and so I've got a business partner. I started in creative finance. I watched Pace Morby. All his free YouTube videos got me my first deal. I teamed up with one of his students to complete that first deal, and that first deal was agent outreach. And so that was kind of the niche that I kept going with, and kind of stuck with that for a while, and then just kept on helping other wholesalers get their first deals. And now we are, we finally grew up past the wholesaling stage. And so now we are buying and holding, as well as wrapping a lot of our deals and just helping people get their first deals done.
I love it. First off, there's so many good parts of that story. First off, you talked about starting for free before you joined the paid mentorship, right? Then you talked about partnering with another Sub 2 student to get your first deal done. For all of you that are not, we are all Sub 2 students, all of the team leaders, Roman as well, all Sub 2 students. So this is what PACE preaches for us to do. Like, go help people do it. And so I love that that's how you got started. And then you kept doing it. So like you kept helping others get their first deal, which is obviously what this whole academy is about, their first, or at least their first few deals. So super exciting. And it was via agent outreach that you got that first one. So before you even got the gold mine of knowledge from Sub 2, you were just doing agent outreach and talking to them, right?
Exactly.
I love that. That lets me see, and I hope it lets other people see, that it is not some golden key, like magic thing. You have to, it's just a matter of doing the stuff. So when you were first started, before you even joined the paid mentorships and thing, you would just pull a list and cold call them directly yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a realtor in Missouri, and so I would just pull a list straight from MLS of the on market listings for over 30 days, and then I just go ahead and call them and put it in a Google spreadsheet.
I love it, dude. I didn't even realize that you were a realtor. So you're licensed in Missouri.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel like, obviously, when you're speaking to another agent, it gives you maybe a little bit more credibility, right? But do you feel like that there's something that, truthfully, being an agent changes for you versus being an investor?
No, I think it's just as easy to be an investor. It might even be easier to be an investor and talk to a realtor, because when you're talking, as a realtor to a realtor, there's guidelines that they got to follow. And with an investor, they're probably going to be a lot more lenient on it, especially if you can open them up in the conversation.
Interesting. That's kind of what I expected to hear from you, because it's an interesting dynamic with agents. So, but I guess that kind of gave you the confidence, though, that you already had your license, so that you're like, hey, I'm just going to start calling people, and that maybe helped you just get after it. You're able to lean on that. But how many calls, or how long did you have to call before you were able to find one?
So my first deal, I probably got 10 to 20 leads within 2 weeks. And of those leads, I got my first deal, and it took probably 45 days for that deal to close. But we got it under contract, and we assigned it within 15 minutes of sitting it out.
That's a fire deal if it got assigned in 15 minutes. That's hype. Love to hear that. And I kind of ask some of these questions knowing a few of the answers, because I want other people to see, guys, like, this is what I told y'all yesterday on our session. For those of you who didn't make it, I'll have Aaliyah be sending out a link to the session that I did yesterday. I told him, like, guys, it's not that hard. It's just it's a math problem. Make enough phone calls, talk to enough people, get enough leads, close the deal. And it's ironic, because even without knowing your exact numbers, what I told people was make 50 calls a day. You'll find you'll have 10 conversations. You'll find roughly 2 to 3 good leads a day, which maths out to exactly what you just said. I found 10 to 20 leads over the first couple of weeks. I was able to get my first deal. So it's just a matter of doing the volume of outreaches. And another thing I wanted to mention today, after talking to our leadership team, that I didn't mention yesterday, was cold calling is great. I grew up cold calling in the gym, and it taught me so many skills, and I would never have traded it. Nowadays, I don't have time to make cold calls, right? Some of you are earlier, most of you are early in your journey. So cold calling builds grit, right? But even Joffrey, for example, going on Zillow, finding contact information and reaching out a different way is still a valid outreach. And I think that I wanted to clarify that for people. Some of you might not be hella confident on the phones, but you might be able to deliver a great email, or you can reach out via social media. There's 1,000 groups. How you build the relationships with agents is less important to me than you actually going out and doing that, because as you build relationships, you'll create opportunities. It just so happens that the easiest way to contact the most people the fastest is going to be dialing straight down a list. That's the reason why we lean towards cold calling, because it's going to get you massive repetition faster. But just like you said, you just got started. You hadn't even learned any of the creative stuff from Sub 2, just what you got for free out there, and you were able to put it in action. So when you're calling people, let's just kind of keep breaking it through the process. And we'll talk about, I guess, where you were when you first started and how it is for you now, right? So when you first started, did you have a script, a specific outline that you were following, or you're just like winging it?
So I was just winging it. I would kind of watch Pace go and watch his seller calls, his agent calls, and kind of figure out what the main order of things was. And I would even, pause the video when the agent would ask a question, and then I would say what I think Pace is going to say. And then whatever Pace would say, I would repeat that out loud and just keep practicing.
Yo, shout out to you for like building your own mentorship training program before you even. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna test myself. I don't need Pace to role play with me. I'm just gonna play his videos and I'm gonna role play myself with this. That is awesome, first off, Roman. I don't think I've ever heard anybody tell me that kind of like approach to it. I think that's awesome way to role play and train without having direct access at first. So that's cool. No script. The interesting thing though, so for yesterday, I'm always trying to leverage technology, right? So AI is a huge resource in what we do. So I took some of the call recordings that you sent us, and I also said, hey, I want you to research all of Pace's videos, and I want you to look at the way that he communicates with agents as well. And let's work backwards to tie these two things together. And it's crazy what you can accomplish with AI. So the scripts that I sent yesterday are a blend of the things that you and your team are currently doing and an AI interpretation of the things that Pace is doing or has in his videos outwardly. So it's key to know, like, it's not a read me line by line kind of script in any stretch of the means. It's literally like guidelines, parameters to kind of stay within to what you want to say, what you don't want to say, how to respond to certain objections. So you were just kind of winging it then based off what you're training. So what did your first few calls look like for you? Did you feel confident in your first few calls? Were you nervous? Did you stumble through it? How did it go for you?
So my first few calls, I called in an outside market because I knew I was going to mess up. So I practiced in probably, I don't even remember, I think it was like Wyoming, and just did like all the calls I could do for the first 2 days. And then I started to feel confident. I started to be able to predict really what was going to happen in a conversation. But they all sucked. They were all awful. And it's just about a numbers game, right? There's going to be eventually a seller who is desperate enough to take this guy who doesn't even sound confident.
Thank you for hitting the same point that I've hit several times. There's you guys have probably heard the term low hanging fruit, right? Early on, that's what you want to focus on. Don't focus on being the best in the world. Find the person that's nice enough and or has enough pain point that they're willing to work with you as a rookie. And it's okay. They're going to know you're a rookie. And like one of the things I recommend is tell people this. One of the ways that you can alleviate the stress that you're feeling is by saying it out loud. Hey, I just want, I'm going to move slow with you. I don't want to mess anything up. I'm still early at this. I'm still a rookie, right? And they're going to then relieve some steam from their side because if they're viewing you as an expert, you're the top expert and like you've kind of positioned yourself that way. And then you are humming and hawing, the answers you can't respond. They're going to be like, either you're full of shit or you don't know the answers and you're trying to like make them up as you go. But if you lead with, hey, like, I'm really doing outreach right now. I work with a team of investors, just trying to find relationships. And now what you're saying is I work with a team of investors, meaning I'm not the only one. So if I don't know the answer, I do have resources that do. And that allows you to relieve some of that stress or pressure or worry about these first few calls. Like you're going to mess up. Spot on. I think it was a great idea to call into other markets. So you're not like going to call somebody that you're going to eventually do business with face to face. And like, you would always think, oh, that one time I sound like a dumbass on the phone. So I think it was
Right.
a good idea to call somewhere else. But so you're not going to know the answers. You just kind of get after it, right? And so like you said, you called in other markets. How did they go? Did you feel like you stumbled through it, or did you deliver it?
Yeah, no, those were they were awful. But I think what you said was very, very important. The talking about having a team behind you, because now you're going to build credibility, and even if what you say doesn't come out right, you've got a reason for it, and that's just you're new to this new company. But yeah, no, that's where my calls kind of started to change, was when I started incorporating I have a team behind me.
Max, you got a question, man? So you got your hand raised.
No, I don't have a question, but I just want to add up, like, using AI as a practice is just like, it's the next level. I practice with ChatGPT all of the seller calls on both sides. You just talk to the GPT and it's give you all of the scenarios, like all of the different options, including like, what kind of scenario might go through the short sale or wholesale or pre-foreclosure. It's like, it's mind blowing.
Can you activate voice? Can you do it through voice? When
Yeah,
you
you
do
do.
that?
Yeah, you do it through voice. You just open the chat GPT and you're talking through the voice. You just give it a command. Let's practice the seller call, and just boom, it's talking to you like direct, same as you talking to the, you practice on the Zooms, you practice over the, it's mind blowing. Try it.
And
gonna
it will
start
track you specifically. So like it will lean in towards the things that you need to improve on or whatever. It's really interesting. The more that you what I challenge you guys, this is kind of unrelated to what we're focused on, but I love the AI. So like I challenge you to think about AI as an extension of your own brain. Your brain is limited to what you have already learned. AI is not. So you can ask it for what you want to do, and it will tell you what you need to do to accomplish it. And then you can work backwards and keep engaging with it. Sometimes people like ask a question, take the answer, and they're done. The more you dial it in. So, for example, what that means is all of the students, as we do agent outreach calls, all of the call recordings for successful agent conversations, we'll pull those and I'll upload them and all the transcripts. And we'll begin to track or have this AI bot that interprets calls, and we'll be able to rate and define what makes for a good directed agent outreach and just be able to upload quickly and kind of rate it. These are just some of the features that I'm building into the CRM so that everybody can know what are my KPIs, what are my stats, like how do I improve, how do I make this better. So yeah, lots of ways that we leverage that.
And besides that, you can tell that, be unmotivated seller, and boom, now you got all of the objections, and now you kind of like, breaking through the barriers. It's like, it's super insane.
Yeah, definitely solid. I appreciate you sharing that, Max, for sure. So, all right, Roman. So to jump back on track here. So your first few calls were kind of bad. You feel like it got better for you when you mentioned the team. So that's another point I want to kind of circle back to and expand, because part of what we're developing here, and you guys are early stages in something that is going to be very, very large here. And some of you may know the extent of that. Some of you may be realizing it as we go forward. What I'm developing here with Dealmakers is really like they're going to be very comparable to a brokerage for investors, right? For a real estate agent, they have this team and this backing that makes them able to have success early. They don't need to have a huge book of business. They don't need to have this success behind them, because they can say, hey, my license is on with this brokerage, and they give me the actual validity. Well, that's exactly what we're really building here. So I wanted to make a key point that he made there, is that talk about the team that you're with. Mention that I have a team of investors behind me. Hey, I'm still pretty new at this, but I work with a team of investors that do this all across the country, right? So if there is any questions that I'm unable to answer, I'll never want to give you, the wrong answer or lead you in the wrong direction. So I'll get an answer for you, or pull in one of my team members to make sure that we can give you the best answer possible. Does that sound fair? And with that, you can overcome any objection that you don't know the answer to. Hey, like, I'm not going to pretend I know the answer. Let me get you the right answer. Is that fair? And 99.9% of people are going to say, yes, that's fair, because who would want you to make up an answer for them? Leon, do you got your hand raised, man? You got a question?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yes. I just wanted to chime in. I just wanted to say that I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not into real estate. I do have my own organization. And I just want to say to my nephew, I support everything you're doing. When I'm listening to you guys up here, teamwork makes the dream work. And I just want to say that, it's good listening to y'all. I know some of you guys up here don't realize that some of the things that you're talking about and sticking together the way you do and presenting yourselves when you're making these calls, it works for other organizations like mine. I have a 501c3, a nonprofit, and I'm listening to some of this stuff, and I'm saying I'm not into real estate, but this stuff works for my organization also.
Love that.
And so I just wanted to chime in and say, nephew, keep doing what you're doing. I support you. It's always been 100 between me and you. And for the rest of you guys, teamwork makes the dream work. Each one teach one. And I just wanted to, I'll go back on mute.
I appreciate you sharing that, man. I love to hear that you find value in that. That's what we're here for. So that's great. That's good. Love to hear that. So mention the team behind you guys. Lean on the resources that you have. And if you don't have an answer, don't try to pretend that you do. Just tell them the truth. All right. So you mentioned the team, then your calls start to get a little bit better. So how did that sound for you at that point? Did you start calling into your local market then, or did you still keep practicing somewhere else?
Yeah, so I I did my practices and then I went to my local market and then I learned that technique of I've got a team. And then that's when they started to accelerate and really start to, get people interested. Like I said, I was with a syndicate and
Ooh.
said that because a lot of those agents didn't even know what a syndicate was. And so that would, build my credibility once again.
I love it. They're like, well, syndicate, that sounds badass, boy. What the hell? He on some mob shit out here. But okay, so all right, I love that. So then you started to get a little bit more confident in your conversations when you're doing this. And then how quick, I guess when you said that it took how long did it take to get the first deal?
2 weeks.
Is that including your practicing in another market, or is that 2 weeks in your local
Yeah,
market?
that was everything. And
Oh
that
my
was,
God. So you
yeah.
practice for a week, basically a week into it, you get a deal in your local market after you build your confidence. So that's how long it took.
Yeah, so I practiced for like 2 to 3 days and then
Roman, I love you. We're so similar. He's like, yeah, I don't need a week. I got it a couple days, couple calls in. Like, let's get after it.
right, exactly.
I love that because that's what I want these folks to see. Thank you so much, and I love how like perfectly in alignment we are to be able to teach this together because where you are is, or where you were, I should say, is where most of these students are at. Like, hey, they're willing to make the calls. Hey, we're willing to get after it and do the stuff. All we need is the guidance on how to do it. And so I just really wanted to clarify for everybody with this as we continue to push through this, how easy this can be. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be the best, most educated real estate guru in the room. You don't have to be anything more than have the hard-headed just consistency to keep making calls at the end of the day. Like believe in yourself enough to just keep picking up the phone. Don't make, and this is the thing where I have seen, and back in solar, this happened to us all the time. People will be hyped. The thing about me is it's easy to get charged up when you talk to me, right? So like you went through an interview with me, right? We did an onboarding meeting with other students, other at that time employees. They're coming on and like everybody's hyped. And then Monday comes and they all get on the phones. And by Monday at 11 a.m. before lunchtime, half of them fall off. They make 15, 20 calls and they're like, I'm out. Right. And that's the biggest thing that I see people do is like they just don't stick through the hard stuff long enough to get to the success on the other side. Now, what I love about you, Roman, is that you didn't take the hard stuff, doesn't take that long. Right. It's just like get a little feedback. All right. This is what I said that didn't work. I didn't like when I said this. This word track didn't work. All right, let me try another one. All right, this worked. Okay, now swing. Right? It's not like, all right, this one worked. Let me practice 75 more times, right? You found out worked for you. You immediately put it in action. And then it's just a numbers game. So 2-3 days, you practice. And that's what you guys are going to be tasked with through the course of this weekend, by the way. All of your team leaders already have all the data. Actually, most of it should have already been uploaded to the CRMs for you. So your team leaders will assign that out. You will only be able to see leads that are assigned to you. So you won't be calling each other stuff. This weekend, really what the primary focus for your deal maker students here is going to be basically beating off those cobwebs, right? He talked about here 2-3 days of just getting your nerves out of the way, right? Because come Monday, my goal for every student here is to get their first deal within 14 days. I made that goal, that expectation before Roman told me this timeline of his. Before I knew that, this was already the expectation. And the reason why I had this expectation is because I have seen so many other people do it. Even within the past 2 weeks, within Sub2, Pace did the No One Left Behind challenge. They got like 10 deals in 7 days with 10 total newbies. So like it's not so hard that you can't do it, but I just really want people to understand like you got to stick through it. So by Monday, I want you guys to come confident enough to make $50 a day. And people say, whoa, $50 a day. That sounds crazy, right? But then I think actually, Matt, you had this conversation with Eddie, and then Matt went back, looked at his CRM and realized the day before he made 51 phone calls, right? So it's like, isn't that right, Matt?
Yeah, that's correct.
So it's like not that hard. How long do you dial throughout the day to make 50, the amount of phone calls you did on that day, let's say?
Oh, dude, I was on and off the phone all day because about half of those phone calls were back and forth calls about the leads we were already working and some of the offers that we already had out. So I realistically am probably not making about half of that might be new agent outreach. The rest of it is stuff I've already submitted and kind of working on.
So those ones take longer, obviously. So with that, those calls are going to take up more of your time. You're obviously not going to make as many overall volume of calls. But that's a good thing to be facing. That's what we want to be at, right? You want to be making less cold calls because your conversations are better. That's why I want to. One of the things that's hard for me, guys, is I have been a part of businesses that have scaled and done a lot. And the way that you do that is to very closely track KPIs. So I say 50 calls more for the trackability so that we can say, hey, you made 50 calls, you got this many results, this is how you do it, and this is how you scale, right? I don't really care if you make 50 calls. What I care about is, are you having active conversations that are moving the ball forward for you, right? So like, and this, I'm sure something Eddie said to you as well, is like, I don't care if you make 20 calls. If your 20 calls are resulting in 2 quality leads a day, like you're having enough good conversations that you're getting the opportunities, it's not about overall volume of calls. But if you set your target at 20, you're not every day going to have that level of conversion. All right. So if your goal is only 20 calls a day, because sometimes you get a couple leads, that sometimes might come once a week, right? But if you make your target 50 and then you have 20 quality calls, you definitely got what you needed. You guys understand what I'm saying there? By shooting higher, you're able to land where you need to be. If you shoot at 20, you're going to land at 10. But if you shoot higher, you're going to land where you need to be at. The more you do now, the better you will get and the less you will do then. Understand that's how growth works. The more you do now, the better you will improve and the less you'll have to do then. The higher your conversion rate and your efficiency will go, and you won't need to make as many calls. I want you guys to specifically this weekend really just focus on getting your nerves out of the way so that next week you can get your reps in. If you're like Matt and you've already got deals working, guys, I'm not going to be mad. I'm never going to be mad at somebody for not hitting 50 phone calls, but they're like, yo, I generated all of this movement. That's what it's supposed to be about. I want you guys to understand that. But we do want to be able to hold you accountable to some standards so that you're able to get to the result that we can see for you, right? Like I can't say confidently you're going to be able to get to a deal within 14 days if you don't make a certain amount of outreaches. But like I said earlier, if you say, hey, gee, like I hate doing the cold calls, but I can set up appointments via email or social media or whatever, and it's just better for me than cold calls, but I'll do 50 outreaches this way a day. Great, rock with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care how it goes for you. What matters the most is, are you getting positive result and creating opportunities for yourself, or are you just spinning your wheels, wasting time? Because when you do this many calls and you get some call recordings, this is feedback for us as leaders. We can then break it down with you and say, all right, in this scenario, you went this way and you should have went that way. Or you said this and you could have said this and probably would have got this result. Now, with the direct agent outreach, the likelihood is it's not even going to be that in depth. And now, Roman, I'll circle back to you here. So like when you're going through these calls with agents, is it more about rapport or is it more about real estate?
I think it's a lot more about the rapport because you're just talking to the gatekeeper. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's how can I get past this gatekeeper, get them to trust me enough to actually show their client this offer. But at the same time, if you've got an LOI, they have to show their client. And so really what it comes down to is how can you make that LOI look as appealing as possible and get it to their client.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's another key point right there, guys. If you send an LOI, they got to show it to them. This is why creative is easy, because like they got to show your offer. They got to, at least in some little minute piece, consider it and show the seller. The reason why I asked this question is about rapport, is about real estate. Of course, it's about real estate. That's what the transaction is about. But the way that you get to the transaction is because the agent likes you. The agent's going. I think about this. I'm here developing you all as acquisition people. You're generating leads. You're going to be closing deals. You're being developed as an acquisition rep. A real estate agent can be no different than that, right? Like I'm going to build rapport. They've already done the acquisition. They already got the contract with the seller to sell their house. I don't have to do all the hard stuff. So if I can get this agent to like me, now we're teammates. And now he'll push my offer because he wants me to get this result. He's going to get paid on this deal because he's not getting paid on it the other way, or whatever the scenario is. This is why you want to lead with rapport, lead with value, right? So of course you have to know enough about real estate. You got to know what you're talking about to be able to have a conversation. But as much as anything, it's about building those relationships, because another point to have is that maybe the property that you're talking to them about right now doesn't work. But if they like you and you have a solid relationship built, you have several good conversations, and then 30 days later, they come across a property that, for whatever reason, needs a creative finance solution. Who are they going to call? Right? Who are they going to reach out to? Because now you have an open channel of communication, you have rapport, and this is where the lead follow-up and nurturing has been crucial in my business, in every business I've done, because that initial outreach is great. You have a good conversation. Cool. They don't have a deal for you right now. That's great. Are you ever going to talk to them again? Or are you just going to wait for them to send you a deal in the future? Right? Like, it's not that easy. You got to be like, hey, and this is why the CRM is so crucial. And another thing that we'll really be building out a lot together, Roman, is how frequently do I need to circle back with this person? Just say hello. For sure, for sure, once a month, I want my name to be on their mind, at least once a month. This is where it gets easier for you guys, because when I was in the gym, I had to call them. In order for them to think about me, I had to call them. Nowadays, and real estate specifically right now, you can add somebody on social media and stay connected in all the time. And this is why I do what I do on social media so heavy as well. People assume I'm way more advanced than I am in real estate. They think I'm the people are like, oh, you're a guru. I'm like, don't call me a guru, especially not in real estate. You call me a marketing guru, I might take that one, but like, don't put me in that character, because I'm not that within real estate, but I don't want to be either. Right. You know, so like, I have been intentional with that, but I portray myself and my brand online so that people do know what I'm doing. So if you meet an agent and you're like, you know what, it's great. Like, I'm going to shoot you a friend request on Facebook so we can stay connected. Cool. Then you go do it. They see your name, they accept it. Boom. Now, what am I going to post about every single day for the rest of eternity? Creative finance and real estate. And I'm going to talk about what I'm doing and how I help this person and this agent that we partnered with and collaborated to do this deal or move this difficult property. And now that agent is going to be seeing my stuff regularly without me ever having to call them. Right now, I'm seeing this stuff, and this is where it becomes marketing and brand development. And another reason why Pace wins is because you're front of mind. You're seeing, when you see creative finance, you see Pace Morby. Therefore, you tie the two things together. So when an agent says, I need to do a creative finance deal, anybody out there that knows it says, you should look into sub 2 with Pace Morby, right? But what you want to do is be enough of a direct connection to this person that they're like, wait, I got somebody I already know that I've done deals with. Right? Like, this is the guy that I worked with. We did this deal. He can help you. And that they might refer you to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be presenting yourself front of mind in that way. So as you begin to do these deals, this is another thing I've talked about with y'all in the academy, is share on social media, right? So for example, you're in this training right now, get out of this training, post on social media. Yo, just got so much knowledge from Roman, learning how to do direct to agent. Can't wait to get on the phones and get my first deals. Hype, right? Now you got a post that kind of anchors to what direction you're headed. And now you go get a deal. You make some calls, you get an appointment set up, whatever, you get a deal. Then you're like, oh my God, got my first deal. Super excited, guys. This is great. Now you're posting, people are like, oh, they got a deal, right? And now you consistently are doing this. Oh, I got a deal this week. I got a deal the next week. Now they're seeing you as an expert. Now at 20 years old, Roman can be considered an expert at this. I'm able to bring him in here in an expert role to teach you guys, because I knew what he was doing because of social media. Actually, I think I first saw you at Squad Up. Didn't you have something in your hair? You had like the designs in your hair.
Yeah, I had need PMP.
Yeah, I was like, I saw your hair at Squad Up, and then I saw a picture of you on Facebook with that hair. I was like, I like this guy, because like you walk through that kind of event, and there's two types of people. There's like the normies, the guys that like work a full-time W-2 or like do some real estate, and they got like a golf polo on and khaki and like New Balance. And then you got like the characters, the brands, the people that are here playing something different. So like I got ripped jeans on and my hair spiked. I got gold sunglasses, and like this is just how I dress all the time. Like this is just who I am. I just walk in and I'm like totally different. And there's only like a handful of people that have that kind of brand identity. And that's how I actually first found Jim. Like, okay, cool. I like what he's doing. So then I watched a little bit for a while on Facebook and seen some of your successes and the things you got going on. And now, like, boom, by him having this brand identity and sharing what he does online, you're able to create this opportunity together. And now we're going to do a ton of deals, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. As you're doing this, part of the whole process for you is to share, because it's going to bring you more opportunity in the future. And then there's one other point to carry out with that is share it in the right places too, right? So go join the right Facebook groups, go spend some time finding other investor groups or agent groups or collaborative groups between both. And when you have a deal or you create an opportunity or some kind of win, share the wins. Facebook will let you make an organic post and share it to 3 groups at a time. If you make a post about real estate, there's no reason why you should ever not share it to at least the additional 3 groups. I want you guys to think about how easy this is. You're already going to share a post. You tap 3 more buttons, pick 3 groups that align with whatever your post is about. 1, 2, 3. You just 3x'd your potential reach by 6 extra seconds of putting it in the right place. People overlook how easy this game is, but it's won in the details. A lot of you know me and have found me through me being hyper present on social media. It's hard pressed, and especially between the months of July and late August, it was hard pressed to spend any time in a real estate group on Facebook without seeing my little purple picture there in the comments. I've had multiple people come up to me at Squad Up and at Clever Summit or different meetups and be like, I recognize you from the comments. I recognize you from that Facebook group, right? Now, what are they? Now I'm the guy at the meetup that they recognize because I'm present there, and now we're having real life conversations and creating opportunities to do deals. It's just as important to share what you're doing online, because then there might be agents that say, "Hey, what's creative finance? I have a property I can't sell right now." Maybe they just comment on your post. Does this happen to you? Have you generated deals through social media or just relationships like that, Roman?
Yeah, definitely. With social media, I mean, I almost raised some private capital. Like I did raise some private capital on there for like a pad split.
Nice.
I was able to dispo a couple deals, and I was able to acquire a couple deals.
It's hella important. Almost everybody that I've brought onto the G Money machine has some level of social presence and understands the importance of pushing online. So, direct to agent outreach is going to, like I said, get you guys faster wins. And I just really want you to understand the importance of sharing that and building your own brand identities, right? So each one of you find your own G Money character, right? Like it's not going to be who I am. Most of you don't want to be who I am. Trust me, it's a ton of pressure and a whole lot of work, right? But find who you are and go be that person out loud. And maybe one other piece is turn the volume up of that a little bit. When I say out loud, sometimes you might be who you are, right? There's a big difference between Garrett and G Money. I want you guys to understand that. There's a huge difference, actually. Garrett is much more professional, and G Money is a character, right? A character that I play. It is who I am. That character was developed in my teenage and early 20s years. I was much more of a flamboyant, outrageous, ridiculous guy in my early 20s, right? Courtesy of a lot of different reasons. But nowadays, that's just a character that draws in attention. And then when people come and talk to me in this scenario, now they get to speak to Garrett, right? And that's what I want you guys to do is like use your wins, create a character, share your voice, build your presence. It will bring in opportunities, and then you can get down to business when it's time to get down to business. And I have generated millions of dollars via social media engagements, whether starting in the comments or the DMs, doesn't matter. We've done millions of dollars in revenue this way. I have built relationships worth who knows how much money off of just being present on social media. Like I can't even begin to tell you the importance. And this again, sometimes I run a little bit off track, but social media is incredibly important to this whole process. So even if you've listened to all of this and you're like, I hate making cold calls, there's still ways you can go generate these opportunities via social media doing exactly this. I actually have a course that I recorded for the marketing agency team a while back that I will give access to, called my lead sniper strategy. Essentially how we target who we want to do business with and generate opportunities via social engagements. So I'll actually add access to the Academy students. So that'll be available to you guys to do that. I'll also be recording one that is more specifically about how we generate actual leads within the real estate space called our Facebook Bandit strategy, where we do bandit signs in Facebook groups, just quick posts saying what we do. You'll get a ton of agent responses, honestly, probably more than seller responses in a lot of those groups too. So another great way to build those conversations. So there's all kinds of things that you can leverage, guys, to get these opportunities going. So one of the foundational principles of my life, and you guys will hear from me all the time, is no excuses, just adjustments. So if you hate the phone calls, make an adjustment, don't make an excuse, right? Make an adjustment. I'm going to do social media outreaches. I'm going to send 50 cold DMs a day to people that have realtor in their bio in my local market, right? Like it's not hard. There's always a way you can get to what you're looking at. It's just being willing to put in the effort to get there. So y'all have any questions, things you want to ask real quick? We got about 20 minutes or so left. What up, Eddie?
What's up, boss? How's it going?
Good, man. Good
So I
to
was
see
just
you.
talking to a guy in sub 2. His name's Tej Preet. He goes by Tej. He's been starting to do the daily dials and whatnot, and he's trying to grow and close some deals. So I told him to look you and Dealmaker Academy up and
Here we go.
join and kind of explain. He'll learn the process, and I'll have him get put on my team. So I'll be his closer, and I gave him a Zoom link that me and a bunch of my little sub 2 crew that I all joined in the same town with a big group of people that we always get in and rip phone calls together, and we'll do it in a Zoom live, and then, give each other feedback while we're in the middle of doing a live call. You'll have other people that, hey, you should ask them this, because, having the outside, eyes and ears can be sometimes amazing when you're ripping calls live and whatnot. So, trying to just get more people to join the community so we can get more deals and help more people get stuff across the finish line.
I love it, Eddie. I love your perspective, man. That's great to hear. We definitely got to have those kind of sessions here within the academy. Actually, the team leaders will be organizing this. We'll be calling them, we'll have deal maker sessions, and then we'll also have power hour sessions. So a power hour, essentially that, like I'll get in a meeting like this, like like we can rotate around making calls. You can all make calls at the same time on mute.
Yeah, everybody makes a call at the same time, and then as soon as somebody gets an answer, everybody else mutes and hangs up the phone that's in a call.
It's the virtual boiler room. I love it.
Dude, that's exactly what we do as a virtual boiler room. I love it, man. You hear, and it's what's nice is because you get guys from all over the country that talk different, have different accents, learn to say the same thing, but in a different way. And it's like, I grew up in and around Chicago. I know how to talk to Midwest people. When I'm calling leads in Florida, they're a different breed. It's super slow. I can't talk the fast Chicago up front in your face Eddie like I always am. I got to bring my energy down, and I gotta be more analytical and slower with my words and watch my tonality, and and then you call somebody from Texas, I'm gonna start dropping y'alls. Oh, y'all cracking me up. And so when you pick up on those different things and you have people from all over, that virtual boiler room, just like if you were doing it, if we were all living in Chicago together, you get in a room together and you're all ripping calls and you're hearing the excitement and somebody else doing the thing, like you're going to learn so much faster when you hear people doing it. And it's just like they say, fail forward. If you're not taking action, and like I want you guys to come and be like, I got this and I don't know what the fuck to do. Great. You're in the right spot. Perfect. Because I love when I have the mentors that I look up to that I'm like, hey man, I got this going on. I don't know how to attack it. Everybody always has that. Those are the things you should look forward to. You want to have those types of problems.
Yes. That's great, man. I love that you're doing that. And also just to kind of add on, one of the best things as well for those of you that sometimes like to hide behind these screens, having your camera on also helps with the accountability incredibly, right? So it's like you actually get to feel people's energy and have a different level of exchange. So when we get in these sessions, I want to make sure you guys are set up in a position where you can have your camera on, you can have, enough silence and peace so that you can be locked into what you're doing. But this is how you guys are going to be able to hold each other accountable, right? Like I know Matt is already making calls every day by himself. So like, why not just get on a Zoom at the same time where y'all can see each other do it so that you can say, hey, he's having success doing this. Let me try this play, right? Or maybe Matt listens to somebody else run a call and realize, hey, maybe I want to try that script, whatever. So this is a great setup. And I love that. Bane, you got your hand raised, man. What's up, dude?
Well, first I want to add to Eddie's point. When I was selling insurance, that was a great way to learn, because the if you didn't know what you were doing on the phone call, like you would have people right next to you, like telling you what to say basically, or like how to handle objections. Super helpful. But yeah, the other I kind of had a question about like building your brand online. How do you kind of grow that while also being delicate with like seller details and stuff? I know when I started posting stuff about certain things, like I don't know, it was almost like I felt like I was giving out too much detail about stuff. So like how do you maintain that balance while still trying to grow a brand?
What do you feel like was too much detail that you were giving out?
So just for like off the top of my head, when I was marketing one of these deals, I was trying to dispo. The private money partner actually like chewed me out. Well, the private money lender like kind of chewed me out at first. Like we got to a good point, but she was like upset about some of the stuff that I was like putting out there, I guess. So, I just didn't know if that was like something that
doing it?
happened at scale or.
Say that again, Eddie. I don't think, I mean, I'm trying to think what you would share that might be like walking that line. I'm not sure. I wish I knew what they said was an issue because that would be an interesting thing to see. One thing that I'll say is I don't look at it as I'm trying to market these properties. I don't think that Facebook is the place to try to dispo deals, if I'm honest. Like sometimes you might, it's not always gonna, it's really never going to necessarily hurt. Well, maybe it might based off what Ben just told us. But like I wouldn't look at it like I'm trying to post this for dispo as much as sharing the story behind it that created the win. So for me, it would be more like, recent, and you guys probably see my kind of post like this, right? So it's very storytelling and it's going to kind of skip lines and stuff like that. So it'd be like recently, and I'm just going to come off the dome with this, by the way. So recently, maybe I got connected to an agent who had been representing a seller that was totally committed to getting this certain price for their property. The agent was frustrated because they were unable to move it, but they they've been putting in a ton of effort. They've been showing it, but not getting any deals. But the price that the seller was set at just wasn't going to work. And the agent was exhausted by the time we got connected. But I was able to bring in a creative finance solution that helped solve both the agent's problem of not being able to move it at that price and still get the seller what he wanted through creative finance and ended up getting XYZ profit, or the agent got paid this, the seller got his price, and this was our win. And so it was a win-win-win, right? I don't have to share any details about the seller, about the agent, or about what happened, but the story is what's important. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
I
that
think
and people don't want to buy the deals that are shopped online anyway near as much. So I would err away from like, hey, I got this deal, let me post it to share, as much as hey, got one locked up, great story, or like just wanted to share a win or something like that. But if you want to really be good at dispo, in my opinion, you want to get buyers that you can sell too fast. Like Roman, you said you sold that first one in 15 minutes, right? Having somebody that you can quickly dispo to directly and then sharing the win online is going to be a better dynamic than, hey, I got a property. Generally, if you see somebody post a property that they're trying to market or dispo, one of two things: either they're trying to daisy chain a property or play a dispo role for somebody else, or it's locked up at terrible numbers and they're never going to be able to sell it, which is why they're blasting it into 100 Facebook groups. Those are generally the two types of properties you see. In some groups like Sub2 and other paid communities, there's obviously better value, give or take. But when you look at free Facebook communities where you see people posting these, like I have the virtual door knocker group. I don't know if you all are members of that group as well, but it's got like 60,000, 69,000 members. And it's like terrible engagement in comparison because when I actually acquired this group from somebody else. It was one of these unbranded real estate groups. And it like there was no limitation or structure to what could be posted. So people would just post any property they had, there would be like one like on it. The reach would be like 3 people, right? So like we've been revamping this group. The people that are sharing those properties are not generally the highly successful people that do a lot of volume, just for comparison. So like don't look at it as a marketing tool to dispo your properties necessarily as much as a branding tool to tell the story about how you're doing what you're doing and how you're winning at it.
Could you share a little more on like some do's and don'ts about, building a brand?
Great question. So do's and don'ts. This is actually interesting because my brand is going to be different than most of y'all's brands. You might be able to tell this already, but my G Money character is a bit confrontational in some ways, right? Like I tend to bring a reality check to people because of the way that I am. My stoic nature and my commitment to consistency and hard work means I don't cut no bullshit. I don't play with people. When people step out and they like tippy toe around or whatever, like I'm pretty direct with the way that I communicate. All of you can't necessarily do that. So what I'll say for a normal person that's trying to build a brand, I would generally say try to avoid more divisive topics until you get to a point where you have enough standing, enough brand identity that people will know what you stand for. Because if you're just some guy saying some controversial take, they're gonna be like, this asshole, right? But if you're like built an identity of being the guy that reality checks, like I have, it becomes easier to say those things. So first off is like, I would avoid early on, like, don't talk about other stuff that's going to water down your brand. So I know, of course, Facebook is like a personal platform. Instagram is like, oh, representation of you. The first do for social media is you need to change your mindset, right? On what social media is. It's not a platform for you to stake in. Well, let me reword this lightly. It's not a platform for you to stay heavily locked into your high school friends and everything that's going on in your hometown. Yeah, you're probably going to have your friends from your where you grew up and all the stuff. Like you're going to have your people on Facebook, but I want you to look at it like a marketing platform, right? Like I'm posting for all the people that don't know me. So that's the first do is you got to shift your transition into this is a tool, right? And so when you do that, now you got to think about, do I want to talk about politics? Do I want people that don't know me to have their first impression of me to be about politics? Absolutely not. Do I want it to be about religion? Absolutely not. I don't want it to be about things that are going to create division or a reason to argue or confrontation. I want the first thing that they see when they see my purple headshot picture to be real estate, to be marketing. That's what I want. That's the anchor thought that I want them to have. So don't mess around and share stuff that doesn't align with what your true goals are on social media. And sometimes this is hard for people because our opinions and our beliefs are very strong. So sometimes you share something with, and I can speak firsthand of this, right? I messed around. Yo, this is funny. And Eddie will understand this. I'm a little bit different breed than the average sub-2 student. I come from a little bit different place and I'm a little bit more rugged, right? And also my sense of humor might be a little bit more dry. So after the whole Trump assassination thing, I shared a meme that was like, what a champion or something like that. Like whatever. Cause he like got shot at, his ears bleeding. He's like fist pump. I shared something that was not really about the political stance that Donald Trump takes as much as it was a badass thing, right? Dude got shot at and stood up and basically was like, fuck you. And so like, all right, that aligns with my brand identity. I fuck with that grit that shows. And so I shared this and I had like 6 sub-2 students reach out to me like, I think you should take this down. This isn't a good look. Like this is a human life. And I'm like, yo, first off, the moment you came and told me to take it down was the moment I was not going to do it. So this was not the approach, right? Like, if you don't agree with me, whatever, that's cool, right? I lost a handful of followers and people that I liked and liked me because of one post about a meme. It wasn't even like I typed up the post like, yo, go to the Trump rally. None of that. I shared a meme of Donald Trump and lost followers. So don't, until you have the ability to like stand on it a bit more, don't tippy toe that line as much as you can. Avoid those confrontational topics that are going to make your brand tied to something that is outside of your control. I don't want to be affiliated as a Trump supporter. Not that it doesn't matter which direction. I don't want people to think Trump, think me, because when they think Trump, there's some negative connotation there, right? So I don't want to anchor my brand to something else. So that's another thing is like, make sure that the people that you, or the things that you engage with, the content that you share, the things that you say align with what you are doing long-term. So since that point, I have been very intentional to like think twice about the things that I press share on. I've always had to think twice about the things that I type up and the things that I speak, but now I've had to think more thoroughly about what do I just share? What memes do I just share because I think it's funny versus is this going to align with the people that I'm actually trying to develop relationships with online? And in full transparency, I've had to say, no, I'm not going to share some things that I would have maybe shared in the past for the sake of brand alignment. And so that's definitely something that you want to make sure that you're careful with, is that people are always watching. It's not just when you post in the real estate group. I didn't share the meme to a real estate group, shared it to my personal Facebook wall, still got attacked. Still got people that came for me. And it just makes me laugh because at this point, I've been attacked many, many times on social media. When you're as heavily present and as abrasive as I am, it's no question mark that sometimes people get upset. Like, it's cool for me if people like feel that way and I lose 5-6 followers. But for a lot of you guys, if you have a wave of people that slide in your DMs and are like attacking you, it's going to give you a ton of anxiety, a ton of pressure that you don't need to deal with. So my biggest recommendation is that make sure that what you share is consistent to the brand and the identity that you're trying to build.
You know what I always thought was kind of funny? Whenever you're doing well, you're always going to get haters. They're always going to come out. And if you're getting haters, it means you're doing well.
Yeah.
So I love the haters because it just lets me know I'm getting envied, and I don't want to be envied by anybody. But when you're getting envied by people, it just lets them know that you're doing the right things, you're making the moves, and people are going to want to be attracted to you. Like when I see people start hating on somebody bad like that, it makes me more prone to want to like be interested in that person. I'm like, oh, why are they hating on him? What is that guy doing that guy's so angry about?
And that is wisdom. Guys, write that down. Guys, write that down. This is wisdom that Eddie just dropped on y'all. And I said this so many times because, like, yo, even right now, I can think of a guy named Justin. Some of you might know who this is, that consistently does whatever he can to try to badmouth Pace Morby. Any group that he can, any comment that he's dropping some kind of negativity about Pace or about Sub 2. And I'm like, Pace is out here changing people's lives, and there's thousands of people that think so highly, but yet still he's got people out here that want to hate on him all day long. And that lets me know that it's okay when people hate on me too. So whenever I see somebody that's like, exactly like you said, being attacked or being accused, whatever, the very first thing I do, and I've built many good relationships with this way, is reach out to the person directly and say, I just want you to know, don't defend yourself. There's no need to. Right? Because when you try to defend yourself and explain this and that and why they're wrong,
it just looks worse.
It looks like you're trying to like protect yourself. But if I'm like, go ahead and hate, whatever. Pace is not going to respond to this Justin Cat. Why would he? He doesn't have to explain himself. And so just keep that in mind. That was definitely some wisdom that you just dropped right there. Is like, great people get attacked. When you make change, when you make impact,
100%.
That vibration is going to rub people the wrong way. And so going to sometimes create negative feedback.
Because what it is, and it's very simple. Like I love psychology because there's a psychology to sales and making a deal. It's an art form. So when you get into the psychology of things, like the way people process things, like is completely different across the board. And when someone does something like that, it's people will show the weakness in themselves on the internet so easily. It's disgusting to me sometimes. And when somebody hates on somebody in a level like that, it is literally them hating on themselves for them not doing the thing that they want to do, and they're pissed at somebody else who's doing it.
Just mad, bro. Why you mad?
Why you mad, bro?
That's why they call them haters, bro. And
so
it's
let's
just
go
a simple
get some
thing.
haters this week, guys. This weekend, as we hit this 1 hour, let's go get some success and give people a reason to talk.
Let's get some haters, man. That's a good problem to have.
So let's get after it, guys. And we just hit this, we're about to hit this 1 hour marker here. So I try to keep these things. One big difference between me and a lot of the other Zooms that people jump on is I believe that the best thing that we can do is take action. So we've got almost an hour, 57 minutes or so, but we've been together. We've gotten an outline of how easy it was for Roman to get started. We're going to consistently be leading trainings together. Roman will be jumping in with us several times each week as we push forward and really focus in on this. So we'll go deeper. If you think of questions or as you have some feedback and call recording stuff, we'll break it down further. This first session, I wanted you guys to truly hear how simple it was for Roman. Were you 20 when you got that first deal? Were you 19 years old?
I think I was 18.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Couldn't look, guys. When I was 18 years old, I was slinging sneakers at Finish Line, right? So if somebody would have told me what you got told at 18, I feel like I would be in a much better place in life now. So if Roman could do it at 18 years old, y'all, there is not a single one of you that has a single reason or excuse to tell me why you can't do it right now, because I wouldn't have you here if you weren't at least 18 years old. Ain't nobody around here that's 18. Like pretty much everybody is 20 or higher. So if he could do it then, you can do it now. And you've got him as direct access. I'm going to be adding Roman to our Deal Makers Academy chat so that you'll be able to have access and ask questions for him there. He will also be available to jump on and help you close deals. Of course, your team leaders will as well. But he's done this firsthand. He has his own team as well that does this. So he'll be able to help close as needed. Y'all's job right now is generate the conversations, generate the relationships, get the ball rolling, take as thorough notes as you can. Another key point kind of tie up with this is you're not necessarily, especially with some of the early outreaches you're doing, it's not that you're calling about any one property right now, right? Like we will get some expired listings and things like that that are more specifically about one property. But right now you're doing a more generalized relationship building call here. So I don't want you to try to do much more besides get a deep understanding of what this person does. For example, so why this matters, right? Steve Francis that jumped on or Franco, I'm sorry, that jumped on our T-Money machine the other day. He's an agent out in Pennsylvania, right? Just so happens Bain has a portfolio deal that he's been working on with Garen that is kind of at a point where we're trying to decide if it's going to be sold to a hedge fund or if it's going to try to break it down, whatever. This guy is an agent investor in Pennsylvania. I'm like, all right, boom. I already know as soon as Bain tells me this deal, I'm like, all right, now boom, I can hit Steve and see if he has some potential buyers or dispo network in that area across the state because I already had this relationship built. I didn't go straight to Steve first and say, hey, let me talk about this one property. I went and got an understanding of what he does, where he does it at, what type of clientele he works with, what type of properties he moves, who he knows. And now when I get, and it just so happens that it's a quick turnaround time that I now like have something to plug in. But now maybe it's 3 weeks down the road. Now I get some other property locked up and now I need a buyer. And I know that this agent told me, hey, I have buyers looking for this in this area. But if you didn't take good notes and if you didn't transfer those notes to the CRM in a way in which you can easily track them, you will lose that opportunity. This is another reason why I built out CRM the way that I have so that
You can kind of.
So I built it out the way that I have so that you can track things. Then you just go in, you search keywords. All right. Agents, Pennsylvania, boom. Now here's all the agents I've ever connected with that are licensed in Pennsylvania that I have notes on. I have the Fathom thing in every one of my meetings so that it takes even more thorough notes than I possibly can. I jot everything down on my notebook. I don't ever open the notebook. It still needs to be transferred in there. That's why I got the Fathom recorder to do it. Make sure when you're making these contacts through this weekend, you get as much information as you can. Don't go for it pushing any one direction. Go, hey, I work with a team of investors just trying to get connected to local agents, always trying to offer value. If there's ever anything that we can do for you, whatever it is, just go get some conversation started this weekend. Starting on Monday, we're really going to kick it strong. We're going to start to hold accountable to more volume of calls or outreaches. And I really, look, guys, wholeheartedly expect each of you to get your first deal within 14 days or less. I have built this whole thing to do this. Now it's on you all to go do the damn thing. Straight like that. Straight like that. This is what we're going to end on. It's time to go do the damn thing, right? So let's go do it, guys. You have access to me, the team leaders in the chat. Roman, I'll add you to that chat right after this. Any questions, drop them there. If you have conversations, I would say, and I bet Cam, I know Matt's already making these agent calls. I bet Cam will get on this and be able to quickly generate these opportunities. I know Jared been itching to get after this too. So like, go get after it. You make calls. I promise you'll have lead flow. And the sooner you do that, the quicker we'll close deals, guys. So let's go
Plus,
get it
you
done.
guys got to remember, Garrett put some money out there for the first person to get a deal in. And then for you guys that are on mine and Danny's team, we decided to match it. So, I mean, sheesh, that's some money out there, boys.
Let's go. Boys and girls. We got some ladies. I see.
Yeah, that's very true. I apologize. Let's go, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's why I stick with the good old Southern y'all. We
I need to start just doing the y'all.
Guys, let's go do it. I appreciate y'all showing up. We're going to have more and more of these private deal maker sessions now that we got everything dialed in. This is so exciting and rewarding for me, guys. I've been putting my heart and soul into building this thing for a long time. I'm grateful for each of you that are here. Let's go get after it. Can't wait to see your wins as we get our first deals over the coming weeks. Let us know what you need in the meantime in the chat, and have a great Friday, guys. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Have a fantastic day, guys.
Later.
Yeah.
Hey, G, you know the chat is disabled, right? Not on here. Never mind.
I did. Now I do as we end it, but make sure that you're my.
All right. All right.